story continued from entries concerning Lehman Russ battle tanks, Baneblade, super heavy tanks, and Tau. And here we are, Grumpy, Rotten, Ears, Gobby and me, all out and about, no armour around us. Our old girl has been smoked by the Tau, so we're in amongst the grunts, the infantry, making our way up the valley in the wake of mighty Bill. God, I love Bill. He's the Baneblade that is presently wandering towards the Tau's central section, as fast as his tracks will carry him. Nothing stops Bill when he goes off on one. The rest of our line corps is backing him up. Well, that's what's left of him anyway. Many a tank has been scratched by the Tau big night thing, the Riptide I think it's called. As with our old girl, I miss her already. But Bill did for him, oh yes he did. I can state with some pride that we helped out in that little venture by taking down shield drones, but the kill, the glory, as always, goes to Bonus Bill. Why Bonus Bill? Because it's always a bonus to see him trundling up the field. Bill may be just fine, but we ain't in such a good position. Moving up behind him as the infantry were, we've been caught in a bit of a 2 and 8. Crossfire from the valley edges, sniper drones I think, but they ain't the worst of it. Nah, that's the stingwings. Like some plague of locusts, they come over the ridge and started their horrible little strafing runs. All in the air, firing their guns down at the grunts from Vestroya, and us of course. But we're still trying to fight our way through the field of combat to get up close and personal with the traitor humans, when we're all forced into a foxhole, well, crater really, to avoid them. They buzz above us in their droves. Stingwing skipper, thousands of them. Shut it, Rotten. And no letting rip with your trouser bagpipes while we're hunkered down, you are warned. Ain't looking good, skipper, ain't looking good. Grumpy, stop yapping and start counting. Ears, get on to CNC, see what's happening. CNC is telling everyone to take cover for a few secs, but to prepare to enact some vengeance on Stingy, sir. Gonna rip some wings off if I can, if I get my hands on them. Yes, Gobby, that is the plan. Let's see what command I've got in order, shall we, eh? We don't have to wait long. It's actually really funny in its own way. Unused to being outside of the old gal in a scrap, let alone with such a load of ruckus going on above us, the stingies swooping about, but it's then that we prove the Emperor has some answers to the stingies. We hear them coming, and it brings up a hoot from the lads. Even Grumpy and Ears look happy as we all see what is coming. In long lines across the air, Valkyries start zooming overhead. At first, it looks like they're simply swatting as many stingies as they can, some even getting rammed out of the air, which is always funny. Then with the next flybys, I see what they are doing. In consecutive ways, they are flying lower and lower. As the stingies try to dive under their fire, they are being forced down lower and lower with each wave of our Valkyries. Stingies cannot go above them, cannot stay in front of them due to the firepower and the risk of being smashed into. So the stingies start being forced down, forced lower and lower. As the 6th wave of our Valks fly by, it is so low we can practically smell their pilot's cologne. But stingies all over the battlefield are being forced right down to the ground, where they are being leapt on and beaten, bayoneted and bashed to death. A glorious sight. Now that is what I call revenge. Valkyries are wheeling round and dropping off men, VTOLing in place and dropping off an appropriate response to the lines of fire warriors that are cresting the ridge on either side of us. Short fellas, they're ratlings. As soon as they are dropped, they disappear into the long grass, and shield and sniper drones start exploding. They're pretty nifty with a sniping rifle, those little ratty boys, but it's not all going our way. As the ridges are theirs still, more ranks of fire warriors start firing down at us. Ratty boys are punishing them, something fierce, but on they come. The blue fellas rarely seem to be as up for it as they are proving in this battle. Usually, they hit hard and then melt away, but they really seem to be enthusiastic today. Good. But what have we here? As the stingy wings are pulled apart, I order the lads over the top and we start making our way to the melee. A swathe of our lads are fighting in close with traitor humans, when there is a shout from either side of the valley, and on comes over a rabble of hounds and the strangest kind of bird things. Well, they remind me of birds anyway, but they got guns. It's then that one of the waves of Valkyries drops down again and outnumbers some of the thickets, the boneheads, and they're even Dynamite slabs, but at least they are sort of human. It's going to get nasty when those bird things, Coot as they called, and their hounds try to get round them. This is only going to get bloodier by the second. And at this point, I must ask you, gentle listener, to help me forge the narrative. Our valiant tank crew has survived 2 episodes, but will Grumpy, Gobby, Rotten Ears and Skipper make it any further? Only you can decide as we forge the narrative. So, as always, 3 options are available to our brave tank crew. So in the comments at the end of this video, please put in your vote. Please put the vote in letters in capitals and then leave a gap between that and any further comment, or comment separately if possible. It helps the channel, but also allows me to collate the results while gaining fantastic ideas so we can continue the story as we all see fit. So, time to vote. Now, the first one is Kilo Alpha. Kilo Alpha, KA, which stands for Kroot Attack. The crew make their way to the front and are struck by the Kroot Assault. A dangerous option for the crew, as Krooting close are nothing to scoff at, let me tell you. The next option is Hotel Tango, HT, Hotel Tango, and that stands for Human Traitors. The crew advance up the field to the melee that is going on against humans working for the Tau, their Gewasser formations, and this is, as usual, a fair crack and likely to be a survival for the majority of the crew, if not all of them. And the last vote is November Tango, NT, November Tango, New Tank. The crew managed to get into a tank whose own crew have been wiped out, but the tank itself can be reclaimed via their skills, and they could then join Bonus Bill in the main tank spearhead drive up the centre of the valley toward the tower power generators. You decide. KA, Kilo Alpha for Kroot Attack, HT, Hotel Tango for Human Traitors, or NT for New Tank. You decide. Welcome, gentle listeners. I am Baldermort, your faithful servant, and I wish to introduce you to the forces, factions, and wargear of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, the Grimdark. Today, we are to discuss one of the many magnificent units available to the Astra Militarum, the Imperial Guard, the standard troops of the Imperium, and as per usual, let us lean on existing wisdom for the basics. To quote, Valkyries. The Valkyrie assault carrier is a maneuverable, well-armed twin-engine attack craft. The durable armour and versatile payload of the Valkyrie chassis, combined with the aircraft's powerful engines and stable handling, make it a popular choice for a broad spectrum of battlefield roles. These attack craft use atmospherically sealed cockpits, an omni-combustible promethium in their vector turbojets, allowing them to be deployed against enemy flyers in the upper atmosphere and against ground forces on even the most hostile worlds. Sporting a troop transport capacity on par with the ubiquitous Chimera, the Valkyrie is often used to swiftly redeploy squads of infantry, strikes at key targets by cadres of Tempestus Scions, reinforcement of buckling battle lines by grim-faced bands of veterans, even hasty transportation for ranking officers. All of these and more are the duty of the Valkyrie. With a few notable exceptions, most Astra Militarum formations will have small numbers of Valkyries attached to them on a temporary basis. Such craft are, first and foremost, the property of the Aeronautica Imperialis. During extended ground operations, however, they are usually repainted to match their assigned regiment, and their pilots report directly to the regiment's senior officer. With vectored engines permitting vertical takeoff and landing, these versatile aircraft can twist and turn through the rigors of low-altitude dogfights, or hover while troops rappel from their holds. In addition, every Valkyrie is equipped with sufficient grav chutes for all passengers, allowing expedient, if hazardous, high-speed deployment into the thick of combat. To burst from the steel cocoon of a Valkyrie's transport bay into the icy air above packed ranks of enemies can be jarring, even by the standards of the Astra Militarum. As the chuted infantry descend towards the seething mass of foes, they are peppered with fire. Those grav troopers who manage to touch down may find themselves within feeding range of some mutated Xenos monstrosity, or set alight by gouts of demonic flame. But for all this, the shock of a Valkyrie drop is even more terrifying to the enemy, who find themselves fighting on new and unexpected fronts with no warning, other than the roar of an overflying Valkyrie. Carefully orchestrated offensives are thrown into utter disarray as lasgun-wielding infantry are disgorged to assail the flanks and rear of the assaulting army. Artillery and psychers unleashing their destruction far from the front lines are surrounded and bowed down by the mass fire of the descending troopers. Airborne assaults play a crucial role in the battle plans of many Imperial commanders, due to the high risk of such maneuvers and the high reward of eliminating key enemy assets. It is common for Valkyries to be loaded with the best troops available, veterans or Tempesta scions. However, certain pragmatic officers have achieved decisive victories by using Valkyries to distribute rank-and-file soldiers across large swathes of the battlefield. One such company commander, Jetta Bachi, of the Athonian 992nd Vagrant Blades, has used Valkyries in multiple city fights across the Imperium to seed the battlefield with his tunnel rats before engaging their enemy. Once deployed, each infantry unit sets up choke points and ambushes across the zone of battle. The foe then face an unenviable decision. Either move at a crawl, trying not to stumble into the infantry's traps, or barrel ahead full pace to overrun the deadly rain of aerial fire unleashed by the Valkyries. Even when troop transport is not required, or when the battlefield conditions make such actions impossible, Valkyries are still an invaluable aerial asset. Their armaments allow them to carry out hit-and-run strikes and strafing runs on ground forces, while swatting enemy flyers from the sky. Though certain Xenos attack craft are faster, few boast the balance of offensive and defensive capabilities that make the Valkyrie so resilient and versatile. Valkyries have a storied history of service alongside Imperial infantry and armoured regiments, and are sometimes referred to by Imperial guardsmen as the wings of the Emperor. Certainly those guardsmen who have seen a ravening Carnifex blasted apart from on high by a Valkyrie's Hellstrike missiles, or been lifted from the path from an onrushing Orc horde in the tight confines of the transport bay, have nothing but respect for these exceptional aircraft. End quote. Valkyries. Amazing models, and a real departure from the past, if you ask me. For Warhammer has been expanding and growing for over 30 years, but not only in the diversity of its men and models, but also in the theatres it attempts to reflect. For this reason I adore most flyers, for most factions have them. The Valkyrie, as we have heard, is a treasure to have in one's collection, for its pure aesthetic, but also for its multiple uses on the field of battle. It can strafe, it can be a troop transport, but it can also be very darn annoying, as with any flyer. Often have I taken one just to zoom up the board and have it play havoc with the plans of my opponent. Why? Because it simply vexes most to have an enemy unit, a large vehicle, just sitting not only in their half of the board, but most often right above their main force. Hence it annoys the opponent into diverting a large amount of firepower to exterminate it. Get them out of my sky, will be the saying. A sense of achievement is felt until the horror sets in and that pesky roll of 1d6 goes off. The vehicle is dead, but took much of their firepower to remove. Then it has the chance of exploding on that d6, you see. If it does go boom, while above the army of an enemy, there is a chance of massive collateral damage, but only a chance. So if you do play, do consider getting a flyer, not for the damage they deal, their threat range or their cost, not for their movement or abilities. Get one for the sheer joy of the model. Get one for the sheer joy of the painting and posing, but also get one for pitting against a good friend and watching them do the calculations. Because I can guarantee there are few players I know who don't pull a truly hilarious face when thrown a curveball or decision that they know is never going to be 100% good, no matter how they roll. So get your camera ready for when you zoom it over at them. I guarantee it will be worth the effort. I have been Baldermort, your faithful servant. I hope you have enjoyed this brief introduction to the Valkyrie. If so, then do please consider liking and subscribing. If so, then do also consider hitting the notifications button, as I would not want you to miss out. Now, no matter what you do today, do try to make some time for fun. Toodaloo.